Hello. It's a beautiful Friday morning here. It's Teresa, and I just wanted to speak today a little bit about how I came upon astrology in my life and hit a roadblock with it, so to speak. I think I told you in my first video that, I was pretty much self-taught. And in my teens, I just read books on it, on the subject of astrology. And then in college, same thing. And I listened to a radio show called Astrological Metaphysical Radio. And then, let's see, in the early 90s, I took a class, and this was after I was married. So I was in my early 30s when I started to think, maybe I want to do this professionally. I already had my first baby. Anyway, the roadblock came after we moved from our townhouse to a single family dwelling to start our family with. Well, we already had our 1-year-old. And what happened after that was, I was a stay-at-home mom by choice, and loving it, just loving it. Really enjoyed being home. That's when I first started to get into gardening, actually, at age 30, in my first home. And so, thinking I needed to help support the family, I wanted to try to make some income as an astrologer. I was basically certified through my class I took, and I was kind of, reading charts here and there and ready to go. Wasn't on a computer yet. This was like 93, and didn't have a home computer yet, or maybe we did, but I wasn't using it for anything really. So what happened after I came across neighbors in my new neighborhood in Southern California that were like really good friends in the long run, but all of them were born again Christians. And I had been raised Catholic, so if anybody knows the difference between the two sects, Catholics really aren't that hardcore Christians, and they don't really read the Bible, and they don't emphasize Jesus as much as the Christians do. And the Christians don't emphasize Mother Mary. So anyway, there's a lot of differences. And these friends I came across, if I mentioned astrology to them, they just got so turned off and, practically defriended me. Well, at the time, I, wanted neighbor friendships, and so I just backed off, didn't talk about the subject much. And I even went as far as calling a Catholic priest from my home, some random priest, I don't even know who he was, just to see what he thought on the subject. And, I was probably all on the phone with him for 5 to 10 minutes, and he was just like, if you believe in astrology, you are not a true Christian. And, maybe some more words to that effect, and I just said, okay, whatever, and hung up. Then, as time went on, my husband and I and child joined the Bible church that all the neighbors went to, right? And we liked it because, this was the early 90s. Pluto was in Sagittarius, remember? Everybody was getting on the bandwagon of raising their families, of course, with a good Christian upbringing, going to church, vacation Bible school for the kids. And the church was so different from Catholic Mass. They had practically rock stars on stage singing, these Christian songs that just really woke you up in the morning and made you want to, dance in your seat and praise Jesus. So, we kind of dug it, actually. And anyway, lo and behold, as the years went on, we moved away from our friends there to where we are now. This was like in 2007. And a lot went on between those two time frames. But, I never forgot how people were just turned off by astrology. And, well, of course, born again Christians, they really take the Bible literally. And what happened was, when I was still at my old neighborhood, I did talk to the pastor of the church I was going to. It was a Bible church, non-denominational, and we just really read from the Bible. I went to a couple Bible study groups, and I wanted his advice, and he was really the coolest guy. He was a Cancer sun sign, I remember. I really liked him, and had a Pisces wife and great kids, and he was so kind, and he didn't want to really anger me or whatever. He just told me to read certain passages and blah, blah, blah. I did, and I still didn't get it. I was like, okay, this is I don't know which book it was from, what chapter, but it was like, okay, this says, something about divination, astrology he basically said astrology is divination. So I'm like, okay, well, divination is from the divine. Isn't this how the divine can speak to us? I don't know. I was just like so confused, okay? But these Bible thumping people, they do really have a narrow perspective on a lot of things. So after, what really opened my eyes to where I am now was the internet. I had never gone on it until 2005, when I still lived at my old house. And all of a sudden, my husband one day said, you want to go on the internet and, Google things. I didn't even know what that meant. So he showed me, and I started using it, and he'd go to work. Our youngest, fourth child was 2 years old, 2 or 3. And oh my gosh, it was probably the wrong thing to show me at the time, because being the inquisitive Gemini rising and having 5 planets in Aquarius in my 10th house, also 9th house, I'm just wow. A whole new world opened up for me when I got on the internet. And the very first thing I looked up was the word satanic, because, that's what I was hearing. Oh, astrology is satanic or whatever. And I'm like, I don't even know what that means. So that was the very first word I Googled in 2005. And at that time, the internet was a lot different than it is now. I mean, everything popped up, everything from Fritz Springmeier's book online called The 13 Satanic Families. I mean, it's right there. I got to read it, and one day it was amazing. But at the same time, my mind was blown, and here I had a 3-year-old and older kids to take care of. Oh, not good. And then I would talk to my neighbors and tell them things I seen online, and they were like, oh, you better not go online and blah, blah, blah. So things just kind of got weird after that. And a lot of my neighbors, I think, just kind of turned on me and thought, I was in this whole different world, which I probably was, because I was looking up all kinds of stuff on astrology. I came upon a website that I don't know if it's still around, but some of you may have heard of it, called Passage11.com. And that was from astrologer Michael St. Clair in Switzerland. And he basically revealed a lot of things. And, this was right after 9/11. His site went up, I guess, and thus the name Passage 11. Anyway, and his site, I found his site because I Googled one day Pluto in Capricorn, because we were still in Pluto in Sagittarius, but I wanted to know, more about the future, what was going to go on in the next 5 years, or 10 years, I think, at that point. Because, yeah, this was 2005. We were in Pluto in Sag, and Pluto in Capricorn happened in 2008. So, anyway, at that site, I discovered Rumor Mill News, because he was a contributor there. He was an agent, they call it, writing for their webpage. And oh my gosh, I went to that site and just got blown away by all the information. And of course, they say, oh, some of it's not true, whatever, but a lot of it was. And you would never hear it on the mainstream news, of course. Some of it that I read in 2005, 2006, we're just finding out about now in 2021. Anyhow, really didn't want to make this video too long, but needless to say, I did become sort of a conspiracy nut. No, I don't like that term, because conspiracies to me are real. Yeah, sure, there's some fake ones, but I totally bought 9/11 when it happened back, 2001, with my kids, my third child going to her first day of, not preschool, but it's called play days. First time out of the house, away from me. It was traumatic enough. And then, same day as 9/11. Anyhow, so I bought that whole event, hook, line, and sinker, from what the news told us. And then, later going and reading on Rumor Mill News, it's just totally different. And I was blown away. And so, man, I was never the same after those sites I came upon. And I just kept coming upon more and more and more sites. And long story short, I realized, to this day, astrology was used as a tool by the very top tier of society, the elite, if you want to call them that. People are starting not to call them elites, because that's too nice of a word. Yeah, they were born into fortune, whatever, but if you trace it back, it's not all good. So, yeah, we are constantly in a war of good versus evil. And, sure, some of these Christians are going to lump astrology into the camp of not, of God, but I don't think so. I don't have that feeling. I don't have that sense, because it's been a tool for me for good in my life. It's helped me realize a lot of things. And see, those who use it, they know this. They know this. And those they say millionaires use astrology. It's true. because, you know, it is a tool. Now, you can use it for evil, sure, just like anything is used for evil, like the internet is, and so many other things. But that's where the grace of God comes in. If you are of the light and love and of goodness, you're going to use it for good and light and goodness, and you'll be blessed. And so, anyway, try to keep this short. I can talk and talk more about this. And I will continue the conversation later about, you know, the different astrology sites I came upon, and where I am now, and who I really look up to, who's doing great astrology work, and what I realized about my own chart. I dug deeper with my chart, which I had never done. So I dug deeper within the last 5 years, or maybe just the last 2 years, and I realized a lot about myself and where I am as an astrologer and where I was as an astrologer, and that goes into past life material. So we'll get into that later, I think, if you want, and I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye now.